My guest is Ruth Summers, who is the wife of Charlie Summers, Republican congressional candidate. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's start with the fundamental question. Why is Charlie running?
Well, because he has the best experience and he can be the best representation that we need down in D.C.
Okay.
And I do thank you for allowing me to be here on Charlie's behalf. As you know, he's currently serving in Iraq with multinational forces and was recalled to active duty this past summer and will return probably about May 20th back to the States. And at that point, he can continue on with the campaign leading up to the primary. So thank you for allowing me to be here and speak on his behalf. I appreciate it.
Okay. What's his opinion on the Iraq War? Does he believe it's the worst military blunder in American history? Does he believe in the mission?
Well, you have to remember where he is. He's standing over there in a uniform. He signed up for the Navy Reserves 13 years ago. It's something that he and I both believe in. We're both lieutenant commanders in the Navy Reserves. So he feels like what he's doing over there is exactly what he was called to do as a military officer, to represent the United States. And when it comes to his personal opinion of the war, he can only really talk about that when he gets off active duty. As an active duty military member, you're prohibited basically from having an opinion. If you think about it, the commander-in-chief, whether you like your president or not, is your boss when you're in the military. So he believes that what he's doing over there right now is the right thing. He has enjoyed working with the provincial reconstruction teams. He's enjoyed meeting people over there who are from Maine as well as from across the United States, and has a first-hand experience of what is going on. He's stationed right in the green zone. However, over the past couple of months, there's been a little bit of upheaval, and he spent a little more time probably standing behind walls and holding on to his weapon more than he had anticipated. But he believes in the Navy. He believes in the mission of the military.
As a U.S. representative, would he call for troop withdrawals?
I can't speak to that because we didn't cover that.
Okay.
And because he can't really form an opinion. He has an opinion, I'm sure.
Okay.
But once again, because he's on active duty, he can speak more to that when he gets off active duty.
When does he return?
About May 20th. Okay. And it'll probably take about 24 hours for him to get off active duty. And then I know he will have opinions. But he will have opinions from first-hand experience, which is much different than any other Republican can speak to right now. Okay. So in that sense, it's really to his benefit, I believe, because he's seen firsthand what the military is doing and how they're doing.
Let's turn to immigration. Does he believe that we should secure our borders in this country?
He does. He believes first and foremost we have got to secure our borders. And, you know, people talk about how we have 12 million immigrants in this country, and granted, I mean, immigration is how this country started, and he is well aware of that. But in order to focus in on the problem that's here and now, we need to take care of the bigger problem, which is securing our borders. And he believes first and foremost that's what we need to do.
Would he believe that illegal immigrants crossing our southern border are criminals, or does he believe that they're just immigrants?
Well, that's a tough one. It really is. And but what he looks at, though, is the immigration policy that we have in place right now.
Okay.
And you know, we talk about trying to get the immigrants out, and we have last year we deported 1.2 million. At that rate, it'll take us 10 million to deport all of the immigrants that are here right now. But if we can't secure the borders and make sure that no more come in, what we do on the inside isn't going to make a difference. We have got to secure our borders. Does he believe that those coming in? He believes that the immigrants that are coming in now need to come in legally. Charlie's first wife passed away about 11 years ago, but when she came to the United States, she was a Canadian citizen. She received her American citizenship, and the first election that she ever voted in was to vote Charlie in as a state senator. So the folks that do come in, yes, he believes that they have got to come in, get their United States American citizenship. He believes that firsthand.
All right, let's turn to the economy. Everyone's worried about it. A recession is defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. What would Charlie do as U.S. representative to turn this economy around?
Well, one of the things that he feels very passionately about are our small businesses here in Maine. He understands firsthand that small business is big business in the state of Maine. And what can we do to help out our small businesses, who in turn will help out the employees that they employ? And as a state senator, he was one of 13 state senators who shut down the state government for 17 days to reform workers' compensation. At a time when small businesses were leaving in droves because the cost of workers' compensation was so high, Charlie took a stand and reformed workers' compensation, and for the next 8 years the cost of workers' compensation did not increase. That's taken a stand in the right direction to help out our small businesses. He was the regional administrator for the Small Business Administration and saw firsthand how helping out the small businesses will really help out our economy. He believes in helping those small businesses put together health care plans. They're called association health care plans, where let's say the candy maker in Maine can also team up with the candy maker in Ohio, and together they can form a small business health association plan, which in turn will help their bottom line, which in turn will help our economy.
Okay. Now, as U.S. representative, okay, would he eliminate Bush's tax cuts on companies that ship jobs overseas?
Charlie wants to make the Bush tax cuts permanent.
Okay.
When it comes to you and me.
Okay.
We have got to make we have got to take tax cuts and make them permanent. We've got to cut the spending, and we need to cut our taxes.
Okay. Let's turn to education. Being in an educational institution, that's what we're worried about.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, higher education. What is Charlie's plan to really focus on making college affordable?
That's extremely important. We have 2 children. One of them has graduated from college, and one of them is in college right now. Making college education affordable and accessible to every person in America is extremely important and high on Charlie's priority list, definitely. He believes that we need to have teachers who are held accountable for what they do, but he also believes that the students need to have benchmarks of reaching the higher education process. Working with education leaders, he believes all of that is done at the state level. Working with education leaders is where he will turn his focus on and look to them for their expertise on how we can improve the system and improve getting students into the higher education. It's expensive. I mean, truly. When he and I went to college many years ago, it was cheaper. It really was. But there has to be a system put in place, and he does believe that somehow we have got to work with the higher education systems to make it affordable for people like you and for people who may not be able to afford it, working with the loans, working with the grants, and making sure that it does become affordable for every student, because it's extremely important in keeping America ahead, making sure that we teach the math and the sciences and the reading, and making sure that all of our students going forward have the education that they need to be successful.
Most Democrats consider the No Child Left Behind Act to leave every child behind as an unfunded mandate. What would Charlie do in that instance? Would he reform No Child Left Behind or leave it as it is?
Well, I don't think that he would want to repeal it, although there were difficulties. It really brought to light a lot of the education system. Test scores have gone up. He believes that substantially it's making a difference. It really is. And that comes back to the teacher accountability and the student benchmarks. And both of those need to put in place. I mean, you go to a regular job, you're held accountable for what you do, and you also reach benchmarks. Going to school is like your own job. It's a job. It really and truly is. And you've got to reach the benchmarks to get forward so that your education can go forward, to know that you're learning what needs to be taught. He is willing to work with the educators to further amend the No Child Left Behind, but it all needs to be done in a positive manner. He also believes, though, that it needs to be done at the state level. Not everything when it comes to education is solved on a federal level. It's definitely a state issue.
Okay. Over 47 million Americans live without health insurance. Would Charlie Summers support a universal health care plan?
Charlie would support a consumer-based health care plan.
Okay.
He feels that the consumer-based health care plan would allow people like you and me, when we go to our jobs, we sign up for our job and we sign up for the health care. I, as a female, will need more health care or different health care than you will as a male. It's just the way it is. We need to look at the consumer-based health care system and make it more of a business. We go to a job, we sign up for our health care. We also have our car insurance, let's say. Treat it like a car insurance. When I go to a new job, I'm going to have to get new health care. I don't have to change my car insurance. Why should I have to change my health care? Why should I have to change the plan that I'm in right now? We need to make it more consumer-based. People need to become responsible for their health care. We need to be a healthier society. We need to, everything that goes along with it. There's so many opportunities out there for us to stay healthy and be healthy. We need to take responsibility for our health care. And by doing that on a consumer-based system, he believes it will work.
How important is this 2008 election to Maine and to the nation?
It's an extremely important election. People ask me how do I feel about the presidential races, and I know that they're going on, but my focus is truly June 10th, when the congressional race is decided on the Republican side and the Democrat that side. And as Mainers, it is so extremely important that we send somebody who understands Maine. Charlie's owned a business in Maine. He's been a state senator. He worked for Senator Olympia Snowe for 9 years, and most recently was regional administrator for the Small Business Administration. He's owned a business in Maine. He's raised children in Maine. It's extremely important for Mainers to send somebody down to Washington who has been working on their behalf. As I like to talk when I go out to speak about Charlie and his issues and where he stands, there's a huge difference between a politician and a statesman. A politician will look at this job as something for himself. A statesman will look at this job as something to help out others. And truly, Charlie has been working on behalf of the people of Maine for 20 years, from being a state senator when he represented small businesses to right now when he's standing over in Iraq as a United States Navy Lieutenant Commander. He completely understands how this job is bigger than him, and it truly encompasses everybody within the state of Maine.
Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. And thank you to your team.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
And thank you for watching as well. I'm Justin Jeanette for The Issue. Keep it tuned to TATV for non-stop 2008 election coverage. See you next time.